Falcha, welcome back to our Saturday book, The Convoluted Universe, Book 2, Video 6. We are on Chapter 26, A Creator Being Returns Home. Canon is putting a woman in Minnesota, a man in Minnesota in October of 2002, a guy named George, into a trance, and he describes seeing sand. He has bronze skin and black hair. He's a man. He knows he is an advisor, whatever that is. He knows there are people over the hill that he's walking towards, waiting to hear from him, and he's not sure what this is about. He has on lots of gold, including an Ankh, Egyptian symbol. So he was a little uncertain of how to respond to Canon's questions. He says, everybody always wants something from me, so why should I trust you? He is depressed. He says his sister was taken away and he feels lost and alone, that she was taken by people from another world. And he says, when we were together, we had increased power, sort of a symbiosis, and we created a perfect world. And without her, it's no longer perfect. And the separation is actually an experiment. They had a need to be together for many worlds to bring nirvana. So there's something going on with these two. But she was just plucked away. And there was a wise father, so this older man, who told them where they had to go and then separated them. Canon is confused by all of this, as are we all, and she moves this subject forward in time to an important day. And he sees a time when his sister was taken back to the father. And he says that he needed to grow alone. He needed to be without her, that they wanted it to be more difficult, that they were too dependent on each other and it was too easy, and neither one of them was really making progress in their evolution. So, like with the subject previously, Jerry, it was easier to create with other people. So he decides to leave his body. They don't die, they decide to leave. He decides to leave his body after a number of years, and he goes and he ends up in a huge familiar place with lots of souls that he's known before. He feels lighter, a higher vibe. He's not tied down by the body. And lo and behold, his sister is there. Their job is to help guide newer souls. And the sister is, it's interesting because he discovers that, yes, they were two different beings in their incarnation, but now, having moved out of that into a spirit level plane, he discovers that his sister is really just a part of himself, a feminine side of his soul. And he tells Canon, we are always there to help. All you have to do is ask. These are these helper souls. We can't interfere, but we can help if you ask. We have many parts of ourselves acting separately at the same time. People cannot understand this, so we won't belabor it. 2001, Canon has a subject. These two women are opening a healing center. One is named Mary and one is named June, and they both come to her. Mary goes into trance, and she went to a time between lives when she met a guy who gave all sorts of advice to her about healing and doing a healing center. And part of her didn't really want to incarnate, but it was important that she do it. And so part of her did and part of her didn't. And she tells Canon that parts of us exist at the same time doing different work, different places. Her friend June also went between lives under trance, and also was given advice that we create our own realities with whatever dream we have, desire, and we can make that a reality if we imagine it as a reality in detail, and it can become real on the etheric side, and then it can manifest on the physical plane. It's a law of the universe, but you have to act on it. And the advice is, be careful what you wish for. Thought can create. Our higher self can guide us, so that sometimes your guides are you. That's something to think about. So now we're at section 8. That was those trances. That was just all they had to say. Section 8 here is stepping off the deep end. Chapter 27, the dreamer dreams the dream. So she's back in Arkansas. That's where she lived. In February of 2002, and the subject is Charles, who's a nurse, who came with issues about being overweight. And that was one thing. But he also had the most common metaphysical question that Canon says, which is, why am I here? So the dreamer is mass consciousness, and the dream is what we create. And we have the ability to change what we create by our collective thinking. We collectively create reality. And which is proof of the fact that there is only one we. We make the situation that we're in, is what she's saying. And it sounds simplistic, and it's a simplistic way of explaining something very complicated that we're not capable of understanding, really. She's told we are God, we are one. The collective consciousness depends on all of its parts. We are all one. We're like a group of creators together. Our shift, our ascension to a new earth, we can will it with mass change in consciousness. Yeah, good luck with that. We have no memory of our other lives, usually. We believe, just because it's our nature to believe it, that the physical limitations of the physical world are real, and they're really not. It's difficult for us to perceive a world without limitations. Just we are limited. We can live lives as pure energy without limitations. I mean, we will eventually get there. We have control over it, and we have control over our environment. We just don't direct our energy the right way. Lucid dreamers realize they can change their dream, and that's kind of a similar situation. We can too. The dream state is not a fantasy. It exists. And so we create a world in our dreams. Thoughts are very powerful. Dreams try to tell us things through symbols, and sound created everything. I thought this was a very interesting little tidbit. God said, "Let there be light." We were spoken into existence. Aboriginal people believe that our existence is the dream. The dreamer dreamed it into existence. The earth is not a real world. They call it the dream time. The spirit world is the real world. I love that. Many times we're told in our lives that nothing is real, that all is an illusion. Many belief systems believe nothing is real, it's all an illusion. We're being challenged in how to think about this right now. And with our enlightenment comes responsibility. We let ourselves get caught up in the physical world, and we forgot why we came here. And that's why we're reading these books. They've manifested themselves in our lives for a purpose. We're supposed to know this stuff. This is supposed to be waking us up. It all sounds terribly familiar. I have people writing to me about this all the time and saying, oh my God, I just totally relate to what this book says. And you know, I didn't write the books. I just read them, and I'm just telling you about them. But they're out there, and I really recommend you read them. I didn't read anything in any of these books that I would find particularly damaging or negative or offensive or likely to set you off in the wrong direction. They all seemed thought-provoking and challenging and valuable. All good things, all good messages, sometimes hard, but good messages. So she's told, you know, we forgot why we came. The reason for being here on this earth is to learn to use and manipulate energy so we can elicit positive change. To enter a new reality, we have to stop being passive. We travel out of body at night, far from the physical, and it's not, you know, we do it to learn and to be guided, to develop. This is interesting. New babies spend a lot of time in the spirit world, as do old people, and that's why they sleep so much. And sudden infant death syndrome oftentimes is the spirit of that child decides, I'm out of here, for whatever reason. You know, they may feel, well, just for a large number of reasons that very seldom have any bearing on who their parents are, who their physical parents are. Soul stuff. Old people sleep a lot too. They journey to the spirit world to prepare for the transition. The spirit realm is the reality. So chapter 28, a different alternative to walk-ins. In February of 2002, Canon often finds that new subjects often give information that refers to or elaborates on previous sessions with different people completely. They could come from the other side of the earth. They could be from a different culture. It's just very strange. But it's almost like they're a continuation of a conversation. And these entities are telling her this information is next. Now you're ready to go on into the next level of information. But it comes from subjects all over the world who don't know each other, don't know the work that she's just done with somebody else. It's not been made public. So she's talking to a woman named Bobby, who's, maybe it's a man named Bobby, who's in a trance. Almost naked man in the desert, desperate for food for his family. They live in caves, and they've been chased off of their own land by white men who wanted control and didn't value the lives of the native people. And this man eventually starves and realizes it would have been better to help his family if he'd fed himself and not starved. The lesson is, I don't have to sacrifice myself for others. I can help others. It's a bad codependency to sacrifice yourself too much for others. It doesn't help anybody. So that was a lesson of that life. And then in the next life, he's now a little girl with 12 siblings and is only close to one, a twin, and experiences this weird light in the sky and is pulled off the ground by the light and sees a being and tells Canon, the being is my real mother. I'm on a table and I'm told that Earth is an illusion. And this little girl is told that we are always helping you. And as a very young child, her body took on another soul. An exchange was made. And this is not what sometimes is called a walk-in. It's actually a transference. An elevated soul from another dimension wanted a human experience. And so there was an agreement made. And the family that these little twins had been born into had very low earth energy, and the twins needed more. They needed help, and so this energy came into them. And both twins exchanged souls. All 4 souls agreed. And the physical being or of the transferee will be in suspension while all this is going on, and in a dimension that has no time, and the physical body is waiting while the soul is on assignment. And I didn't understand a word of this, but essentially what they're talking about is we operate under the assumption that we're consistently just who we are, and it never changes until from the day you're born until the day you die. Well, the reality is there's all kinds of stuff going on under the surface subconsciously that we're not aware of, we're in agreement with, because we're a spirit. We're just using this body, and the body is what our conscious recollection and understanding is. But on a higher level, there's all this other stuff going on. And, souls are negotiating, souls are moving back and forth, souls are splitting off and going. I mean, it's crazy. It's very exhausting. The birthing process, I thought this was really interesting. The birthing process is intentional because the process of being squeezed out and into the world actually has the effect of removing memories of past lives, previous existence, and the time between worlds. It puts the veil between that. Walk-ins, these are souls that show up after birth, later, they have their full memory. So karma, jumping from topic to topic, karma is like flypaper. We get stuck, and it's really hard to get off of. Higher entities, they can understand that, and they see the difference in vibration that's necessary, and they can avoid getting stuck. Once again, she's told we're all one, we're all part of the whole. All these different people are repeating these same messages, which is really interesting because they come from different cultures, different religious backgrounds, but they all have the same message. Canon has often been told that many people are now receiving symbols on beams of light. Now, we've heard this before. Beams of light. They'll see light coming in the window, and there'll be symbols in it, and they'll report this to her. They may not remember it consciously, but they report it in hypnosis. And they've been told, yeah, you're seeing symbols. Those symbols are packages of information, and a ton of information is being given to you in this one symbol, and it will be activated. It's going to be held in your subconscious, and it'll be activated when the time is right. The veil that they talk about between life and death, the veil between past lives and present life, it's just a matter of vibratory frequency. So 2004, she has a subject named Jessie, who talks about the holding soul. This is a soul that can be near or enter a body who needs help for a brief amount of time. They travel around the cosmos. The person is probably not even aware that this is going on. They may feel a little different. Like, oh, my attitude has changed. Or, oh, I have a sudden realization. It's subtle. It may feel a little different, but the soul knows. And the soul allows this to happen. This is not being possessed. This is not anything malicious or malign or weird. It's just not understood by us. And if the soul needs to leave temporarily for any kind of repair or healing or checkup or whatever, this healing soul will fill in until the original soul returns. And it's all part of one energy, so it's okay. So sometimes a brand new soul will show up, and this is like it's born, and this is its first lifetime, and it cannot handle it. This was biting off more than it could chew, and so it's replaced. And the original soul usually does come back. That was a weird chapter. I had a hard time with that chapter because it didn't make a lot of sense, but it said this doesn't make a lot of sense because you're people and humans are not capable of wrapping their brain around this. It's going to take more messages and more cogitating to figure it out. In the meantime, chapter 29, the multifaceted soul. So we're all part of a much larger soul that can splinter into parts and create parallel realities. So an example is Michelle, who is in trance in 2002 and finds herself an androgynous green male, bipedal with 2 arms, 3 fingers and a thumb, and has been sent to this strange environment to find a place to grow food and is not sure if the information that he received was inaccurate or lost. He's lost. So once again, the message is we are all one. My family is okay, but there are people in my home that are like origin that are hungry and homeless, and therefore we're responsible to help everybody, not just our own families. And this being was upset about this other planet where people were hungry and hoarding food and nobody was sharing, and was trying to explain to Canon, look, you know, my family's okay, but I came to find food for these other people. And then I see these other planets where people are hoarding and not helping each other. And hey, we're all one. This is not okay. We have to stop the insanity. That's what she's told. So he's trying to find a growing area to expand, a place that's not so overcrowded because the planet is overcrowded and hungry. But he says he also can't interfere. He can't force people to share and be benevolent or whatever. So he wants to give souls a choice of a better place to reincarnate so that they'll spread out and they'll have space and it'll all work out. And he travels the universe by teleporting with intention because this powerful being. In another session, an alien entity is telling about traveling in a ship and collecting samples. And this being also moved from place to place using intention without a machine. And it consumes sunlight, not food. The place he comes from has very low density and very high vibrations, and it's more of a feeling of connectedness between all beings. They need sunlight to survive, and if they're using the ship, they have a light source inside, and they can go underground in the future and have a light source under there too. This entity is also lost, trying to find a new planet for colonization. He overshot the coordinates because he was too involved in the fighting of the people, and he can't interfere because that will create karma for him and he'll get stuck. So Michelle, the person, is in trance and explains that this particular soul is like a diamond with many facets, and all the facets are part of the whole, and they all share an experience, but each facet has a different experience. So some facets help one life at different ages. And then, for example, facet number 1 will help you until you're 10, and facet number 2 steps in until you're 18. It's trying to explain something that we simply can't understand. Parts of all the same soul. She sees the image of a large ball of light that people can drop out of the ball and go places. This is like a metaphor for the soul. They can drop out of this ball of light and move and go elsewhere, and then they come back and join back into the ball. Canon and then encounters the subject on the other side of the world. So she's got somebody new, like she traveled quite a bit, like Asia, Africa. She was everywhere. And she hears she's got a subject who starts continuing with this story. And she is convinced that these entities are titrating the information subject by subject as she has time to digest it. In 2002, she's in Australia with a person called Kathy, whose husband has died. She had cancer. She decided to have a big party to say goodbye to friends, but not to tell them that she planned to kill herself after the party. But she was so exhausted when the party was over that she fell asleep. She woke at 3 o'clock in the morning with a huge light. And the light was an entity, but it only had eyes. And it entered her body from her feet and filled her up with light. And she felt a current of electricity. And when she woke up in the morning, her attitude, she felt completely different. And physically felt different, and discovered that her cancer was in remission. So she goes to Canon to be put into hypnosis to figure out what happened. And she realizes that her soul was different from the time of her birth until this party. And life was so hard that an enlightened soul came in and helped her to counsel her, and that her original soul learned lessons here, but then was replaced. And she realized that the original soul had been so unhappy that it created the cancer. It wanted out. But as soon as this arrangement was made and her original soul left and her new soul came in, the cancer went away. Okay. So she saw that this life's problems are in the context of balancing past life karma, and that even hurtful things that she did sometimes help to pay off a karmic debt from past lives. So sometimes you feel bad about something that you've done, and that's actually serves a function that goes beyond this in life right now, goes into a previous life. One person is many energies coming together to take this life to an unimaginable dimension, and we don't know our own worth. Our ego is too tied up in the body, and we simply don't understand this stuff. People like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, there are many souls involved in those people. Kathy now has a new soul, and it's changed her energy so much that she has basically what is a new body. So Canon has had numerous sessions about walk-ins and holding souls and helping souls, and coming from all different kinds of people, so there's got to be something to it. She says we must all raise our energy and help others to raise their energy, so that when the time comes to move to a higher vibratory level, many people will be ready and aware or woke and will leave the negative behind. So we all use our third eye energy, and we can use thought to create realities and create universes, and we could do a lot if we were powerful together, but we don't work together. To understand all this, you just have to ask for people who already understand to come into your life, and they will. So the more you want to understand it and the more you work on it, the more you're going to encounter people who will help you to understand it. We choose to be limited, and we can choose to be brought to awareness. The spirit is the spark in the individual that's part of the larger soul energy. Spirit is limited by the physical reality that exists in, and the soul is limitless. The spirit side deals with issues of incarnation and lessons that the soul has to learn, and the soul is really part of the source. So there's a bit of a distinction, but it's all, not body. Chapter 30, the new earth. Canon refers to a passage in Revelation from the Bible describing the kingdom of God. And the similarities are similar to numerous descriptions that she's had in her sessions. A place of light with great joy, being united with the source. Everyone becomes beings of light with no desire to return to the physical. She realized that these descriptions have been limited by words that are available and our frame of reference and our understanding. We're just limited. And this is what we're going to talk about next, is a collection of things she's been told. Everything is energy, and our form is determined by our vibratory level. Energy doesn't die, it only changes form. The earth is living, has its own frequency and its own vibratory level. The earth is now changing its vibration and frequency, preparing to rise to a new dimension. There are a infinite number of dimensions around us. They have varying levels of vibration. The eyes can't see it, and increasing vibration is used by ETs to travel because they are more advanced beings. We sometimes go or return to these dimensions and they're not even aware of it. That's a mind blower. We can feel this happening to us right now. Everyone's been talking about it. Our bodies will change as energy increases. Her subjects are repeatedly told, now here's the real bummer, eat lighter food. Don't eat meat because of the chemicals in the animals. Don't eat fried food. Oh, God. To ascend, you have to eat live, raw vegetables. You can't ascend with a lot of toxins in your system because they're very low density. We have a huge need to detoxify, and we should drink a lot of water, and we should eat no sugar. The resonance of the water that we consume is very important. Imagine that water is in vortex and creating a clockwise, counterclockwise, positive, negative energy. Imagine this with your thoughts, and this reintroduces life back into the water. So this is the life force acceptance of the planet. Water can re-energize our memory and our resonance of what we are, but it only lasts a little while, so the effect of imagining a vortex in your water, but you have to do it every time you drink, and this will reintroduce clarity into your life. Proof of the earth vibration that it's increasing is that the military has always used the Schumann resonance. I don't remember reading this at all, so let's see what this is. Okay. Time is actually speeding up or collapsing. For thousands of years, the Schumann resonance or pulse or heartbeat of the earth has been 7.83 cycles per second. The military have used this as a very reliable reference. However, since 1980, this resonance has been slowly rising. It is now over 12 cycles a second. This means there is the equivalent of less than 16 hours per day instead of the old 24. One of the indications that the frequency and vibration is occurring is the speeding up and shortening of time. Starting in 2003, there will be an influx of energy that is going to really propel the earth. There's going to be a greater schism between the group of people that are going to be staying behind and the people that are going forward. The outcome will be a higher vibrational increase in earth. This is affecting the whole universe. This is not just the earth. This is galactic. Wow. So, yikes. So the body cells will increase in vibration until they become light. They'll get hot and they'll glow and they'll disappear. You will disappear from regular vision and not experience death. Go into another dimension and continue your spiritual evolution. This will happen to the entire planet for the first time, and it will be the new Earth. If you're not ready, so if you're one of those people who has a red hat, or people like me who make fun of them all the time, then you're going to have to stay to work out your karma, and you're not even going to notice anything's different. You'll just be on a denser plane because your vibration will match that plane, and you're going to continue to evolve. It's just at a different rate. But we have to help as many people as possible to increase their vibrations. And this other subject telling canon that we will go to another dimension, and we'll see them, but they won't see us. And there's nothing that we can do about it. It's either you're ready for it or you're not ready for it. You try to work on yourself and hope for the best. They can still increase the vibratory levels, but it'll take them a longer time. They'll see it, and then they'll die, and they'll need to return and work out their karma. Love is the key, is what she's told. We must tell about this. Those who are ready will hear it. Those who are not ready will think we're crazy. For some who don't know, the spark is in them, and they will be able to make it. They just aren't aware of it, but for whatever reason, they have managed to evolve anyway. Some will not even be aware of the shift. They'll see destruction. They'll see the bodies, but they won't realize it's a shift because they're not ready, and they'll be on a different kind of earth. And the ones who move forward will live longer and live better, but this is going to be a big, I hate to use the word trauma, it's going to be a big change. It's going to be different. So the dead are not ready for the shift, and they'll realize their error. They'll realize their missed opportunity. They'll learn from it, and they'll keep working on their karma to increase their vibe. So this is not a punitive thing. This is more of a, well, it's a change, and some are ready and some aren't. The rest with the higher vibration already will be on the earth in a new dimension. Some who did raise up their level will have to go elsewhere, and some who didn't will stay. There will be a world of light and peace like now, only smarter, thank God. So this is a natural process of earthly evolution happening. Our bodies are changing to get ready for it. Many feel the symptoms. Older people feel it. And then she's told, no uncertain terms. There is no point in worrying about it. Just go about your business. Try to be a good person. What will be, will be. Some subjects are shown the future, and ETs are healing the earth with light. The colors of the light heal the planet and the animals and the plants, and they affect human consciousness, and they're working with us. Higher energy entities won't allow us to completely annihilate the planet. That doesn't mean a bunch of us are not going to die. It just means that we won't be allowed to completely destroy the planet. We can't interfere. They can't interfere, but they can help repair. And there's a confederation of them that are working together. It's on a soul level, and it doesn't have anything to do with karma. So this energy from the source, it's not like in Atlantis. That was about atomic power. But anything from the source is good. And some people will realize this transformation and some will not. So I keep repeating because these are different subjects under trance who are telling her the same thing. They won't let the pollution continue to change our genetics. They are putting the planet back into alignment. They're cleansing and clearing the genetics because all are part of a divine plan, and because it affects the entire cosmos. We can't see all this activity because it's interdimensional. There's a lot going on. Some science will have the technology soon to detect this. At the moment, they don't. There will be a huge event, but it won't be noticed on a physical level. This is the hard part to I mean, we're all waiting for the spaceships to come, or for, you know, the big cataclysm or whatever it is. It's going to be on a soul level. It's going to be subconscious. And some people will experience it, and others are just going to go about there. For all we know, it's already happened. I mean, we just won't know. Those are sensitive will know about it, and there will be ET intervention. It will prevent DNA decay, and it'll help people evolve in harmony. In Atlantis, the ETs tried to bring in more feminine energy to create a union between male and female, and it didn't work. We needed a tweak in our DNA is what we needed. So the Earth has gone through many thousands of years of subjugation of women and a suppression of feminine energy. And soon masculine and feminine will be in balance. And we're not talking gender, we're talking about creative energy and activation energy, masculine and feminine energy. And it's a Christ-like energy, and we will all see how it can be like that. Which is all, this is all very positive. It's scary because it's change and it's different, and we don't know what it'll be like, but it's positive. So our problems are all because our divine energy is not balanced, and we will achieve this. We will. It's just could be hard. And the reason people experience tests when they get supposedly, you know, abducted by ETs, it's not meant to be traumatic and scary. What they're doing is they're tweaking our DNA balance. They're checking our DNA. They're trying to alter the effects of pollution, protect us from ourselves. And they don't intend for us to be traumatized by it, but it's hard for them to understand how we perceive it. Soon this will be a planet of light and peace without the adherence of karma. It'll be seen happening by the Hubble as energy rays coming from the planet. It will affect our perception of certain I can't read my writing, oh my God. Certain red hats? No. Oh, okay. I do remember. It's been 6 weeks since I read this. It'll affect our perception of certain red hues, colors. People here now are being tested. As things get worse, you can continue to hold the light and act in love and not get sucked into negative acts. So what she's hinting at is there may be unrest. There may be bad things going to happen. People needing help, and you're kind of keeping it for yourself. This is a test. How willing are we going to be to serve is the question. Those who are finding it tough now are being tested. Should they pass the test, they're going to be around for the new earth, and the ones who cannot evolve will reincarnate into another place to work on karma. I would recommend, and this is not in this book, this is just my opinion, if you haven't read it already, or if you have read it, reread Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. See how somebody really enlightened behaved under the most egregious, extreme form of oppression. The earth will no longer have negativity. And this is an interesting little tidbit, because this was told to her before this was a fad. Organic farming will become a part of the plan, and that's why the consciousness about food is being raised in so many people. Children knowing this will move to the new earth to spread this. And I think it's really interesting. Just a little aside, my dietary choices were less than complimentary, but all of my children are vegan. All my children, and I don't know where that came from. It's, you know, since they were little. I had my oldest daughter told me when she was 9 years old, I'm going to be a vegan. I'm like, what? We went along with it because how could you not? But I think that's kind of a symptom of what canon is getting at. There's this generational thing that's going on. And where does that come from? Because believe me, my Irish relatives are not vegan. My grandmother would be rolling in her grave. So anyway, we're going to be seeing another dimension that people are now stepping back and forth into it and don't even realize that we need to focus on the good, focus on the positive, focus on trying to help things be better. They're hard right now, for sure. Many people don't know any of this at all. They have no idea about anything beyond what their religion teaches them, and it's not for us, although I am very judgmental, but it's not for us to be harsh about them, because it's a matter of being incapable. So we all have a choice. Once I said that, we all have a choice. Some of us choose to move with this new earth and some of us don't. Some aren't ready. And I think that's what I was trying to say. That's just they can't. They're not capable. In order to make a choice, you have to be able to make the choice. And they'll just have to go on to further evolution. And it's not that they're worse. It's just a different time schedule for them. And if we can look at it like that, we'll have more compassion. And this is not about punishment. This is about karmic choices, karmic lessons. So the global persecution that we're seeing, it has a purpose. It's to teach us that persecution causes suffering, and we need to awaken spiritually. And persecution can trigger spiritual awakening. And that's why we're seeing it. That's why we're here. That's why we have these terrible things that just upset us so much. There's a purpose. It's to wake us up. We are here. The purpose is we are here to be witnesses. We need to see this. And keep in mind, it's not, the poor people who are suffering unnecessarily, and how can that be allowed to happen? Well, there's a purpose, there's an agreement, and there's a lesson. And if we can keep that frame of reference. So we're not supposed to get caught up in the fear of the media. Then underneath that I wrote, yikes. It's easy to get caught up in it. We're not supposed to ignore it either. We're supposed to focus on finding solutions of love and wisdom. And the pandemic played a huge part in that, because it was an attention getter. And we had to decide, would we risk our comfort and convenience for a greater good? Would we love our neighbor? I think we know what the answer to that was. So your world is what you create here. If everyone created peace and harmony inside and treated each other accordingly, we would have peace and harmony. All of this is a test of individuals to see who is and isn't ready. And our job is to help each individual find inner peace. And they can't say to us what's going to happen, because it's up to the free will of each individual. And knowing the answer ahead of time is no help. We have to focus on a place of love and peace, and it will expand. And each thought becomes an energy strand that's woven in a ball of energy, and it can go in every direction. And the more energy you give a thought, the more it will grow. And that's why I keep saying I have compassion for people like Donald Trump. And I know that makes people crazy when I say that. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm saying we can't have that hostility and anger and resentment. We can be appalled. There's a little bit of a difference there. At least that's how I justify it. We can be appalled by people like Elise Stefanik, Nikki Haley, McConnell, people like that. It's okay to go, oh my God, what are they thinking? What are they saying? What are they doing? But put it in perspective. They're just not there yet. They will be. It doesn't make us better. It just gives us a different time schedule. And maybe we're not any better than they are because we're sitting around criticizing them. You know? So the more you give a thought, the more energy it has to grow, and you can replace the hate and the anger with positive thoughts. I mean, you can direct that to them and reinforce the positive. So for every action, there's an opposite reaction. This is the law of cause and effect. And this is about balancing karma. It shows in birth and death, fear and love, in just opposites. We have to let go of greed and domination and materialism. On the new earth, there's going to be no need for money, so I'll fit right in. We have to let go of the idea of working for money. We need to work to change the earth. We need to work to save the situation. We need to work with love and with service, because love heals. The earth's damaged, and it has two choices. It can shift its poles and start over, or it can shift dimensions as a whole planet. In either case, it's going to be a big change. Some people are ready and will do it successfully, and others will be taken elsewhere. If you're ready, you'll be shifted off of this dimension, and you will suddenly find yourself on a pristine planet using telepathy, and others won't realize it's even happened. And so I'm like, I wrote, well, I won't tell you what I wrote. I'm trying not to get in trouble with YouTube, but let me just say I expressed my extreme disbelief and lack of understanding. Can't worry about it. So this actually happened a few years ago because they needed to shift the sun, and we were all suspended while this happened. Therefore, the entire planet literally slept for a week, and therefore the new Earth, the entire population could be suspended and no one would even be aware. Canon postulates this is reflected in the Mayan calendar of 2012 that everybody freaked out about. Anyway, something to think about. Who knows? We will increase our vibratory level until our bodies dissolve into light. The spirit state is an in-between state that recycles souls to work on their karma. And when we increase our vibrations and go to a new dimension, this won't be needed anymore. So, chapter 31, the last chapter. All is energy with a spark of life, and sentient beings are all over the universe. We all began on the lowest vibe. The earth is also alive, but also in pain. And all of this is universal. We are all part of a whole. The main objective is to work through karma and break out of the cycle of reincarnation. We can increase our frequency and our vibratory level and ascend to a next dimension and bypass reincarnation. We all started out as part of one. We helped create reality. We're held together by collective perception, and God is the glue. Thoughts are real things and can be reinforced into a physical reality. We are capable of changing our reality with intention and determination. Nostradamus' advice was, focus on the reality you desire. The power of the group is huge. It's all about experience and learning. Let's see here. Not sure what that last statement entirely made. Learning from experience, I guess. William Shakespeare understood this when he wrote, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. It's all about the law of cause and effect and the golden rule. And the answer is love. So, it's an interesting little book. The two of those books together, boy, I'll tell you, my brain hurt. There were days when I was taking notes on these books that I had to put them aside and just, and it's not that I reject the ideas she presents. I just have to digest them. So I hope you enjoyed these. And please, if you have questions, send me the questions. And I have some very interesting stuff coming up that I think will help to comprehend some of this. I know it will, actually. And I also have an interview this week coming up, which will raise some interesting questions, some of those hard things to look at. And if you have questions for me, put them in the comments in capital letters to catch my eye, and I'll try to do questions on Sunday. And Denise is getting better. Good news. She's got a gigantic cast on her arm. At least it wasn't her hip. That's my philosophy. And her COVID is, she was very lucky. She had not a horrible case, so good. And one of my daughters has COVID again. It's just terrible. Young people do seem to do a lot better with it, but not all. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the book, and I certainly am taking notes on people's suggestions for books. I have one new book, and then I have a concept with several small books, and then I have a book completely unrelated to any of this, all coming up here in the near future. So I've been doing my homework. Thank you for watching. Have a very good rest of your weekend, and slán go fóill. Slánte.